Welcome to Educate and Rejuvenate the podcast, the show that helps you teach and live well. I'm Kelsey Sorensen, a former classroom teacher, current homeschool mom, and a proud Teacher Goals author. I'm on a mission to help educators of all kinds not just survive, but thrive. Are you ready to educate and rejuvenate? Let's go. Hello, everybody. I'm so thrilled. Welcome back to Educate and Rejuvenate the podcast. This is the final episode in our Ease into Summer mini podcast series. Now, if you haven't listened to the other ones, that's totally fine. They don't have to be watched or listened to in order. And I'm also live in the studio in collaboration with Teacher Goals. Since we are Teacher Goals is my publisher, I publish my book, Educate and Rejuvenate, through them. And we are also collaborating for our summer Educate and Rejuvenate conference and for our upcoming podcast series, as well as this one. So I'm so thrilled to be here with so many of you. We have a total of 76 of you in the room so far. Thrilled for you to be here. So when you are here, feel free to pop into the comments and I will make sure I left a note, because some of you have been attending this series might know. A couple times I forgot to do the giveaway and I did it in the comments after. So I reminded myself multiple times in my notes to make sure that we pick somebody in the chat. Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you for being our first commenter. To remind you that we are going to give a Starbucks gift card to somebody who is in the chat during this podcast. Now, if you're listening to this later on Apple or Spotify or watching it in our Educate and Rejuvenate app, just know that we have a lot of live podcast episodes coming up. If you attend live, we'll be continuing this giveaway as well. So, but all the episodes will still be on whatever platform you prefer listening on, whether that is YouTube or Spotify or Apple. We are just now recording live, which is so much fun. I love being in the room with so many of you. Hello, Byron's Tribe on Instagram. Hello, AJ. So thrilled to have some of you in the room with me. It's so much fun to not feel like I'm just recording on my own. My favorite thing about being a coach, about working with teachers, is actually hearing from you and having a conversation. And so I love that this is kind of like that. And then at our conference this summer, I'm so thrilled we'll be doing it on Zoom so that we can actually see each other. If you want, you have the option to turn on your camera so we can connect even deeper there at the event. Oh, it's Wendy. Hello, Wendy. So glad you are here. So with that said, today is the final episode of the Ease into Podcast series. It is called Savor Your Summer, a mindful transition for the season. So wherever you're at, this episode is for you to help you ease into your summer intentionally. Now, if you're watching this, you might already be in your summer. You might be done. I've seen a lot of reels of people right before Memorial Day of like, yes, school is out. I've seen other people say they have a few more weeks to go. Let me know if you're here live. Let me know in the chat. Are you out for summer yet? Or are you still in full swing? And also, if you're on the replay, you might be watching this a week or two later. So hello, another Wendy. There are two Wendy's here. Hello, Wendy and Wendy from your membership. Yes, Wendy, I know who you are. I love connecting with our members and getting to know you. So much fun. Now, Elizabeth has 3 more weeks. Oh my goodness. So you're going to, I think I've heard East Coast. It goes later than we do here because like none of the schools here where I'm at have 3 more weeks left. Most of them, like this is the final week this week. But it's really interesting how around the country it varies. Wendy has 20 more days. AJ school is out. Hannah, Friday was her last day. I love it for those of you who are out, and for those of you who are not yet, you're so close. Enjoy the final time with the kiddos. Savor the end of the school year, because as we've been talking about during this series, you can ease into your summer. We can start tapping into those summer vibes now and enjoying it. Now, if you're watching this and wondering why I have a bit of a bruised up nose, maybe I successfully covered it with makeup and a bandage on my arm. I'm actually tying that into today's episode. Let's just say this episode has a few layers. Linda has been out since May 22nd. So fun. Okay, but anyways, if you're wondering, this past weekend, I had a bike accident. Actually, I totally crashed. This past weekend on Sunday. It was just on Sunday. My husband and I, we had been riding for about an hour. It was my first day on my brand new bike that my husband got me for Mother's Day, but it took a while for it to come. And it's an e-bike, right? So it's the first time I'd actually ridden a bike for longer than like 5 minutes as a grown-up. And then it had the e-bike feature, so it could go a lot faster. And so with that, like I'd ridden have a stationary bike I ride a lot at the gym or even in my home gym and stuff. But again, this was like, oh my goodness. You're probably wondering, why are you telling me all about this accident? Trust me, it's going to tie into today's episode. Because the reason why I crashed, and we're going to talk about it, because it was 100% preventable. And one thing I noticed as we were riding, my husband, he's had his e-bike for over a year. He rides it all the time. He rides it very fast. Okay. So you might know where this is going. I had not ridden a bike in a very long time, but I didn't want to inconvenience him by going slower. Do you see where I'm going with this? But we didn't have any sort of conversation about it before, right? There was no communication. There was no intentionality with this bike ride of, oh, how are we going to ride, with it being my first ride in over, like, I don't know, like a really long time. I mean, I guess I rode a bike. I did a triathlon about 12 years ago, but I borrowed a bike for it. So again, that was like, I hadn't been riding much even then. So I kept adjusting my pace to match what I thought he wanted. And he was like asking, like at one point we had stopped and he was like, what speed are you on? And I thought he was asking that because he wanted me to turn up faster. It's like, oh, well, I can go up a bit more. But why he was actually asking was because he just wanted to see how his bike matched up with mine. But do you see how my brain immediately was like, oh, he wants me to go faster. I need to turn it up. So I did, right? And then I also preferred to ride behind him, but he kept being like, do you want to go ahead of me? And again, it's because he was actually being very sweet and we just weren't communicating very well. Right? He was like, I want to make sure, like, if something happens, I want to make sure I don't go too fast ahead of you. That's what was going on in his mind. But then for me, when I was in front, I really didn't like it because I was like, he's going to crash into me because he's going faster. Like, I just had all these worries, right? And this is something so silly, right? It has nothing to do with school. But what's happening, he wasn't rushing me, right? I just assumed he wanted me to go faster. And somewhere in there, I actually told myself that that's what I wanted. I was like, well, I got this e-bike. I want to be able to just do it all the way and go really fast. But when I reflected on it later, I realized I actually wanted to ease in. I wasn't ready to go full speed yet. I just thought I should be. I should be able to jump right into going full speed on this e-bike, keeping up with my husband, who's been doing it for years now. So what ended up happening is, while I was ahead of him, and he actually called to me, and I turned back to, instead of stopping the bike before turning around to see what he wanted, I turned, which then turned the handlebars while the path we were riding on also turned. So then when I turned back around, immediately I rode into the shrubbery and fell. And I knew it was coming. As soon as I saw it, it was like, okay, I'm falling. I like accepted it. I wasn't like trying to like, I know that if you're like looser when you get in an accident, you're not going to get as injured. So I didn't break anything, which was great. I actually braced myself and made sure, like, that's why my arm right here is scraped up, not like anything worse than that. But it was like, oh, wow, how did this happen? And I kind of analyzed it after. And that was where I realized I was paying more attention to what I thought he wanted, which wasn't even what he actually wanted. We tend to do a lot of this people pleasing with other people as we're teachers. But again, as we see, it doesn't only happen in the classroom. This was with my own husband, who loves me and just wanted to make sure that I was safe. And yet I was like, oh no, I'm so good. I'm doing great. Right? Because we're in this go, go, go mode so often. And we're actually more on the same page than I realized. But what I realized is the reason it ties into what we were already going to talk about today is we hadn't communicated intentionally. I hadn't decided intentionally what did I want that first ride to look like. I was just reacting, right? Whatever came to me, whatever my husband said, it got interpreted through the lens in my brain that I thought it meant, and that's what I did. And when he called out to me, instead of like thinking, oh, maybe I should stop my bike before I turn around, I didn't, right? And so when I looked at it after, it made me realize all these things I could have done to be much more intentional with that. Which brings me to a story I shared earlier in this podcast series, and that actually is in chapter 1 of my book. And I realized I usually like to hold up a copy of it, but I don't have it by me at this moment, which is totally fine. But it's from my book, Educate and Rejuvenate, in chapter 1. And actually in episode 1 of this series, I shared the whole video clip of a client that I coached. And in this video that you can, if you would like to actually see it, I'll tell you the whole story, but if you want to see it, because the light bulb moment in it is pretty amazing. It's just back in episode 1 of this Ease into Summer series that you can find on Educate and Rejuvenate the podcast on any platform. But a teacher came to a coaching call in mid-July, right? So she's partway through her summer. She was starting in just a few weeks, as we've discovered in the chat today. It varies depending where you are, whether you start in August, whether you start in September. She only had 2 weeks left of her summer. And she hadn't finished all the things that she had put on her to-do list that she thought that she should do. So again, sometimes we do this people pleasing with other people, like I did with my husband with the bike. Sometimes it is self-imposed. Sometimes we tell ourselves all the things we think we should be doing. And that's what was happening with this teacher. So after I asked her a whole bunch of questions and just was like, oh, okay, well, what were those things? What was it you want to get done? What are you actually feeling? We tuned into her body and what she was feeling, because that is always so important. And in fact, we're going to lean into that even more than ever at this summer's Educate and Rejuvenate event, that tuning in and feeling and seeing what is it that you actually really intentionally want, not just from your mind, but when you really go in and feel it. But after we did that, and after she got into that place of regulation and clarity, she realized that actually the reason she was feeling that way wasn't because of all the things she hadn't checked off. It was because that whole summer she had been holding herself to that like checklist of things. And she was like, now I only have 2 more weeks and I haven't even enjoyed my summer. That was really what was underneath it. She's like, I only have 2 weeks left. That's like nothing. What do I do now? Like, I wanted to enjoy it. So what we talked about is, well, what do you actually want for those remaining 2 weeks of your summer? And that's when she started feeling like, oh, you know what? I can make the best of these 2 weeks. I can, just pick a couple of those things on that to-do list, but also I want to spend time with my kids. I want to read a book just for fun, or whatever else it was that she wanted to do. So what we're trying to do today is do that now. Do it at the beginning of your summer, so you don't just have those 2 weeks left to be really intentional with what it is you want. It's not about not having a to-do list at all, because likely there are things you want to get done over the summer, but it's about being very intentional with those things. Like, what do you truly want? Not what you should want, not what like you think you should be doing for school, what you think your admin wants, what you think your spouse wants, like for me with the bike. What is it that you actually want for your summer? So that is what we were talking about today. Now I'm going to check into the comments for a second. Lo says, hello. Andrew says, we jump into the end of the year in the beginning without enjoying the moment as it is. Exactly. And that's what we're wanting to do. We want to enjoy our summer, right? We want to educate and rejuvenate. That is so important, because if we only educate and then clean the house and organize the whole house and parent, those are all good things, right? But if we don't find that time to also rejuvenate ourselves, if we're just checklist, okay, I'm out of school, but now I have all these other things that I'm going to do, we're going to burn out, right? And so that's where we want to get very, very intentional. Jonathan says, I feel like quality is better than quantity. Yes, exactly. Shared to Facebook, I'm having that issue now with self-regulation. Don't worry, we've got you, Wendy. And I know you're in the club too. We are going to be doing a lot of this in the coaching calls we have in June, which I'm very excited about. We have one about holistic health, which is like not just physical health. We're going to talk about physical health, but emotional health, regulation, spiritual health, whatever it is that matters to you. So I've got you. Elizabeth says, I've been struggling with this. How do you figure that out? I feel like I don't even know what I want anymore. I've got something for you. We're going to start that work today. So stay tuned. I've got some questions. Really, that's what it is. It's about asking yourself good questions and letting the answers come. And I would really encourage you. I will make sure that we put these questions in the show notes, and I'll pop them into the chat for those who are here live. I would encourage you to take some time to actually journal on these questions outside of just listening to this episode. And I promise you will have some aha moments. Hannah says, I know that for me, I focused on something I want, yet I feel like I can't enjoy summer at all until, but that is what my brain says, not what is actually true. Yes, and that's where that observe, choose, align framework comes into play. Because even when we know this work, like I wrote the whole book about this observe, choose, align framework, right? And yet on Sunday, my bike accident happened because I wasn't there. I wasn't actually tuning in with myself in that moment. But it's right after I was able to analyze it, right? And that is where we improve that comeback rate. And sometimes we're better than others, right? And that's what we talk all about in the Educate and Rejuvenate book as well. Lomar says, I agree. I need to enjoy my summer. Yes. So let's come together now, as there are 581 of us together in the various rooms right now. We're multi-streaming to a lot of platforms. A lot of you are on Teacher Goals. So we're so glad you're here. Remember to leave a comment if you haven't yet, because you'll be entered in to win a Starbucks gift card. Chris says, I'm really trying to be more intentional, to be more in the moment at all times. And Wendy says, and then I'm going to read these last two comments, then we're going to go back to getting the work done that we're going to do together. Wendy says, you can see some of my very bad first year instant homeschool mom craziness. I watched one today and thinking, what was I thinking? Yeah, and we all have that, right? Whether we're in the classroom, whether we're homeschooling our kids, we all have those moments where we're like, what was I doing? Like, for real. Andrew says, digging deeper, asking why until we find the root. Yes, exactly. That is always a good exercise. Like, what brain is coming up? You think why, and then why, and then why, and then why. Getting deeper. Love that. Holly went to a coffee shop today with a notebook and my favorite pen to brain dump what I want my summer to look like. I love that, Holly. You're already getting started with this. That is so good. Okay, so that is what today is really all about. So, and I hope for Tori, or Ashley is what we call her in the book, the client that I coached about those last 2 weeks, I really hope those last 2 weeks, once she had that aha moment, were more of what she actually wanted. But what I want for you is for that to start now with this summer. What if we didn't wait until the last 2 weeks to get intentional? What if we made those decisions now, before the rush, before the pressure creeps back in, so that the whole summer can be rooted in what we actually want, not what we think we should do? Because should, as we learn in Educate and Rejuvenate the book, is a cognitive distortion, right? We never should do something, right? As we decide, oh, I intentionally want to do something, like I intentionally want to do what like these things to prep for school, that's great, but there's no should. Yes, stay in the present, Leonard. You are so right. Okay, so let's not wait until the end of summer to realize we were living by someone else's or our own brain's misinformed expectations. Let's decide now what really matters. What do you want from your summer? So let's just start with that. Think about it. Do you want time with your kids? Do you want to travel? Do you want rest? A mix of all of it. You get to choose. And that's what today's episode is all about. So let's revisit that story quick before we get into the exercise for just a moment, because how many of us have brought the same energy from the classroom where productivity feels like survival, right? We feel like our worth is tied to how much we are getting done. And we think like when we get to summer, oh, I'm not going to feel that anymore. And then you get to summer and then you just have the new to-do list of clean up my closet, of get all the yard work done, of do all these things for my kids, get them to the different summer camps, whatever it might be, into our break. And if you missed it, I highly recommend revisiting those previous episodes where we talk about even more. That coaching clip is gold. We think if I can just catch up, get ahead, if I can fix everything, then I'll be able to relax. That's what we're getting away from. We are getting into the very thing robbing us of the summer we actually want. We're going to pause, we're going to breathe, and we're going to ask ourselves what we really want, and I have some guided questions we're going to go through together right now. So these questions are initially from chapter 6 of my book, Educate and Rejuvenate, but I reworded them a little bit to have a twist specifically for the transition between summer, or between the end of the school year and summer. So they're the same questions that are the end of chapter 6, which is in section 2 of my book, Educate and Rejuvenate, where we've observed ourselves and we're now choosing our direction. We're figuring out what we want. And that is what we're doing for our summer. We're going to walk through it together, and pausing where helpful. And I'll read off some of your comments too. So the first question is, what's working well right now as the school year wraps up? So the reason we ask this question is I don't want to just jump right into, oh, what are all the things going wrong? I want our brain to notice the positive as well, because what we look for grows. And so what is working well for you right now as the school year wraps up, or as you're starting your summer, wherever you are at right now, what is something working well? If you are here live, I encourage you to put that answer in the chat, which will also enter you to win a Starbucks gift card. If you're not, if you have a journal out, amazing, write it down. If you're driving, just think about it. Or if you're doing dishes or whatever, often when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing something. So just think about your answer. And I will get all of these questions when I'm done reading them out into the comments, and we will add them into the show notes as well. So when you're done listening, you can kind of start thinking of it right now, and then you can do some deeper journaling on it later. Elizabeth says, has a lot of things already prepped for next year. Jonathan says, not taking work home. Charity, hello, so glad you're here. Wendy already has 3 vacations planned with relaxing in between. Linda's working as a sub. You have some great things going on already. Elizabeth has a lot of things already prepped for next year, keeping with routine for Andrea. Linda says, already have started a busy weekend of activities with more to come. Emily got further in her curriculum this year than previously. That was good. Amazing, Emily. I love that. So I love seeing these wins, and I hope that you've thought of at least one. It can be tiny. Don't overthink it. Something that is working well right now. The next question is, what do you love? Something you love to do, to feel, to listen to, whatever it might be, that you haven't made space for during the school year. Maybe it's going on a walk. Maybe it's time to just sit and drink your coffee or your tea without any interruptions. Maybe it is reading a book for fun. Maybe it is reading a book for self-improvement, like Educate and Rejuvenate. Maybe it is working out. I don't know, whatever it might be for you. What is something you love but haven't made the space for during the school year? And I have some other wins of things you are doing well. Yes, talking about routines and a journal and a website that shows 100 values and their definitions and how you're living out your values. I love that. Elizabeth says, getting back into exercising. I would love to get back into doing genealogy research. I love that. Andrea says, scheduling time for me. Linda says, sleeping in a little bit more. Wendy says, reading something for me. I love that. So yeah, just think of what, and it can be one thing, it can be many things. What do you love that you have not made space for during the school year, that you could potentially make space for during the summer? Jonathan, eating at a 5-star restaurant. I love it. Andrea says, guided journaling. Yes, and that's what we're doing right now, right? I have some questions for you, and we're diving into them. Now, the next question is, what parts of yourself have you let go of that you want to bring back this summer? So not just what do you love, but there are like things that maybe at one point felt very tied to your identity. So for example, for me, even the bike was me getting back into getting outdoors and enjoying. So I live near the mountains and in a very beautiful outdoor environment here in Salt Lake where I live. And I have not been making the time to actually go out and enjoy it like I used to. And so that was something that I'm like, yeah, I am bringing that back in. And another for me was music. That was also a big thing for me so long in my life. And so now I am working on guitar with my kids, which most of you probably don't know this, but I was actually the lead guitarist and singer in a band in high school in the beginning of college. So again, like, what are some of those things that you're like, oh yeah, that I would love to bring, and it might come back in a different form, but something that just feels really good to me. Another one for me is reading for fun. For a long time, I was not doing that. I was only reading nonfiction psychology books because, again, I do love that. It is kind of fun for me, but also it does still make me think about like all the things I do for work, right? And so sometimes it's nice to read like a thriller novel or a romance novel. And so I worked that back in. Linda said she did not know that, right? You wouldn't expect that, right? Linda says, getting the pool ready to swim again. Andrea says, my waistline. Yes, speaking my love language. Listening to the birds on the patio. Leonard, I love that so much. Hannah wants to paint again. Wendy wants to go to the beach and camping more. Finishing your book. Oh, I love that you're reading Educate and Rejuvenate. And again, whatever pace you're reading the book is beautiful and perfect. Like, it will be exactly what you need. And it's actually a perfect summer read because summer is a great time to slow down and really apply the framework that is in the Educate and Rejuvenate book. And we're talking about it here on the podcast too. Elizabeth says, I want to do what I want, reading, learning for myself when I want. Yes. Linda says, reading more again of my choices. I love these. Okay. Bonnie says, planning and hosting garden tea parties. I love that. So fun. Holly says, cooking whole foods, even though I'm likely the only one that will eat them. I feel you on that one. I've been working on that too. And my kids, they sometimes go for it. They sometimes don't. You know what I mean? But it's all good. Natasha says, fishing and canoeing. I love it. Okay, the next question is, and this is one where we get a little bit deeper into that, like, what is it I really want, not just what I think it should be. If no one was watching or judging, how would you spend your time? Like, if it didn't matter what your spouse or partner, your children, your admin, your friends, your family, anybody else, if it didn't matter what anybody else thought, how would you spend your time this summer? And maybe that's the same as what you already put, but also it's just kind of taking it from another angle, right? Making sure that you weren't people pleasing in that first answer. And let's see, we are at 5:26. So I'm going to read out these next. I'm actually going to just put all these questions in the chat for those of you who are here live. I believe it will go out to all the platforms. So I'm popping those in there now for all of you. We're here live. The next question is, what do you not want to carry with you from the school year into your summer? So again, we talked about what was working well at the beginning of this. What do you want to carry with you? But also, what don't you want to carry with you? Were you feeling a little too rushed? Were you giving yourself a lot of pressure rather than grace? Like negative self-talk? Were you adding too much to your to-do list where it wasn't realistic and you were constantly not getting everything done? What is something that wasn't working that you can be like, I'm not going to carry this with me anymore. I'm ready to release this. I'm really ready to let it go. What would that be? So you can put that in the chat. Chris says dancing. Elizabeth says, I don't tell people this, so please don't judge. There's no judging here. No judging at all. Linda's relaxing, going to the beach, going on a cruise. I love it. I love seeing all these answers. Jonathan says the thing that he wants to let go of is the fast pace of trying to get everything done. Yeah, that's a good one, Jonathan. Charity says stress. Yes, right? We don't want to bring that with us into our summer. And then the next question is, who are you when you're not trying to please or perform? So when you're not trying to, tie your own worth to what it is you get done, who are you truly underneath all of that? And that one is a bit of a thinker. You may or may not get that in the chat immediately or immediately come to your mind, but just start like thinking on that question. Sometimes I really encourage like getting out a notebook and writing each of these questions on the top of a fresh page, and then start writing on each one, but then leave the rest of it to come back to, because then your brain will kind of keep thinking on it over the next like 24 to 72 hours, kind of thinking on it, and then you can add to it. It kind of gives you that space to really think on it. And what I find is I often come up with the best, for one, the best brainstorming, even for the stuff I do here at Educate and Rejuvenate, but the best insights to myself when I'm not like tied to my computer or necessarily even have the notebook right in front of me. It's like, it'll just come to me while I'm on a walk or while I'm on the beach or while I'm going on a hike. And then I get out that journal and I write it then. Can we get a copy of the questions? I did just put them in the chat, and they will be in the app and on the show notes with where this episode will be. So you will be able to find them after as well. I can paste them into the chat one more time because I know that we're getting so many amazing comments from all of you. I haven't even been able to keep up with reading all of your comments. So apologies if I do not read your comment. I love seeing all of you commenting here and engaging engaging with us. It is so great that we get to have these podcasts be more of a conversation when we do them live. And then the final question is so again, who are you when you're not trying to please or perform? And I might actually rework a few of these before I put them into the app to make them even more clear, or add a few more for you. Did not show up yet. That's so strange, because I have it like where it says it should go to all platforms, but maybe it's not working. So apologies if the questions are not showing up for you. It probably is platform dependent. I'm putting them in on StreamYard. And I don't have any of my team members on the other platforms right now. So we will make sure to get that on the show notes and on the app. And I can read them all out one more time as well. So the final question is, how would that version of you who's not trying to please or perform or tie their value to what they get done, how would that version of you spend the summer? So again, we're just like, it's kind of the same question at a bunch of different angles, right? It's kind of similar to the why. We're coming in and be like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And the funny thing is, I've done this exercise from chapter 6, and the answers do change even with these tiny tweaks. I'm on the app and I can see goals, but not all comments. Oh, okay. So Michelle, you were, so the app is streaming live from YouTube, and I didn't even realize we actually had this embedded in the app already. So I love that you're watching from the app. But yeah, it sounds like none of you can see all the comments, because the comments are platform dependent. So I see like Hannah's commenting on Facebook, Leonard is commenting on LinkedIn. And then there are multiple Facebooks. Then there's YouTube. So I can see all the comments, but they are platform dependent, depending on, this is multi-streaming to a bunch of different platforms. So I forgot to clarify that at the beginning of this one. So that would be why, Michelle, if you're not seeing all of the comments. Elizabeth says, I'd be sitting at my camper, reading fun books and learning about things that interest me after I've done my morning workout. Oh, I love all these questions. Bonnie says, I'm a much calmer and confident person when I'm not people pleasing. Yes, I love that, Bonnie. Leonard says, my real self. Oh, these answers are so good. You're all incredible. I love this. And what I love about this is, as you think on these questions, like maybe already some of the answers have surprised you, or maybe if you like do what I recommended and like, write one of the questions on top of a fresh page in your journal, you'll get to even more information that comes up that might surprise you. And they might guide your whole summer, one that feels intentional instead of pressured to do like all the things on the list, right? Instead, you'll get some very intentional things like, yes, I do want to get this done. I do want to do this thing, but also I can't do it all. So these are the very important things I want to get done. And this is also what's just as important to get done, the educate and the rejuvenate, right? Now, this is just one of the exercises, this what do you want exercise. It was based on chapter 6 of the Educate and Rejuvenate book. And when you purchase a copy of the book, you also get a full PDF journal, or workbook is what we call it, that has a ton of different exercises. The summer is really the perfect time to do the workbook. I know a lot of you have read the book and maybe you haven't started the workbook yet, or maybe you're just barely hearing about the book. Either way, it's the perfect time to dive into that workbook. So if you have a copy of Educate and Rejuvenate, scan that QR code and grab the PDF workbook, because this exercise is in there along with so many others. And you can print the journal pages or use them in any notebook. And trust me, it's not about doing it perfectly at all. It's about getting honest with yourself so you can get in alignment with what you really want this summer. And for those of you, I see some of you in the chat who are in the Educate and Rejuvenate Club, we'll be diving even deeper into this exercise along with some coaching on it on our June 12th call. So watch the calendar for that. Okay, let's talk about another thing that might be coming up as you do these questions and as you just think about your summer, the summer guilt, right? We get kind of exhausted at the end of the year sometimes as teachers. And okay, I see some questions. Have you done a summer book club for your book? We did a book club right when it came out, but I think we probably should do some sort of discussion during the summer for sure. We have the replays of the book club that we did before in the app for those who, like, again, when you scan that QR code and get the workbook, there's a QR code inside the book. So grab your copy of the book. This will answer Wendy's question too. Scan the QR code. In fact, I really wish I meant to have a copy right by me when I was doing this live. Do I have one like that I can grab in arm's reach? I do not. I would have showed you, but there's like a QR code throughout the book you can scan, and that will take you to where you just fill in your info. So it'll unlock that section in the app for you where the workbook is and all those replays. Andrea says your expectations are definitely lower. We are not finished until June 6th. Love it. Okay. So again, a lot of us are feeling exhausted by the end of the year, right? We also feel like we have to earn. How many of you feel like you have to earn your rest? You feel like I need to do all these things to earn my rest. Like if I get this much done, then I can rest. How many of you have ever felt like that? Like raise your hand or just think about it in your mind. If you're listening later or if you're here live, feel free to put it in the chat if you relate to that. That's what a lot of us feel. Like that teacher I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, she felt like she had to check every box to feel like she'd done her summer right. But you are not your to-do list. This is why we can't just educate and clean the house or educate and try to recover but never fully rest. If we're constantly in that do mode and never making space for the educate and the rejuvenate, we burn out. And that's why this isn't just about being productive. It's about being whole. And one of the things that I'm kind of working on a website revamp right now. One of the things we're going to have on it is like wholeness is the new standard. Like the standard is that we're whole. It's not that we're burned out, right? Rest isn't a break from the work. It's a part of the work. It is just as important as the getting things done. And I see in the chat, yeah, Holly says, doesn't everyone feel that way? Jonathan says, me. Emily says, I meant guilty as in that's me. Yeah. So if you're listening to this later, just know the chat, like, I think all of us can relate to that because it's so natural. But that is why we want to be intentional. We want to look at it. We want to observe when those thoughts are coming up, when those feelings are coming up. We want to notice them. We want to process it. We want to understand where it's coming from before we try to change anything and know that it all makes sense. We always make sense. It's a sign of something. It's a signal of something. And once we look at that, we can then see, is that what I really want or is it not? And that's where we observe, we choose, we align. And that is what is in the Educate and Rejuvenate book. So that's the next part of the framework, right? We talked a lot about choose today. The next part is align. And that's about living in line with what you just discovered about what you really want. So we are already at 37 minutes. So we're not diving deep into that today. But we'll continue that inside the Educate and Rejuvenate Club. And we're going to explore it in so much depth during the Educate and Rejuvenate event this July. Especially if you're someone who feels like you struggle with time. When we were doing our survey this year, the biggest thing that kept coming up again and again is struggling with time, feeling like there's never enough, like rest is wasteful, like you can never get all the things done. We're going to be talking about that in depth during the event. So it's not going to be a repeat of what I taught last year. It's not going to be a repeat of the book. It's going to be taking this framework and applying it to how do I make this work with my time as well. That's what we're going to do at the Educate and Rejuvenate event. We're going to help you not just manage your time, because so often it's like, oh, here's these things you can do. But really what we need to do is heal your relationship with it. It's all the feelings. It's all the busyness. It's all the intrusive thoughts we have about it. All the judgment. Yes. Chris says, even Jesus rested. Yes. Holly says, ooh, I love that statement about rest being part of the work. Rest must be intentional. Yes, you're right, Leonard. So again, we are going to dive deep into that at the Educate and Rejuvenate conference this summer. You can grab your ticket for just $5 for a general admission ticket. We also have a platinum pass that it gives so many more perks, and there's more to come that we're really excited to announce with the platinum ticket. But to close this out, and I have a reminder not to forget the Starbucks gift card that we're going to have to pick here real quick with a random scroll. You don't need to fix yourself this summer. I just have some affirmations for you. You don't need to hustle for your worthiness. You don't need to follow anyone else's map, including mine. Like, again, my framework, that's why the framework that I'm offering is observe, choose, align. It's very open to whatever it is that you need. It's very much just like tied into psychology, and like I didn't make it up per se, like it's just the way it works. Let this summer be where you be with yourself. And by that, I mean where you are rooting for you and where you choose to be very intentional so that even the simplest moments feel aligned with who you are and who you are becoming. So, if this episode spoke to you at all, if you're feeling any sort of like, oh yeah, like I feel a little bit better, or I feel like I'm going to have a better summer because I spent some time listening to this. Imagine what a full week of coaching, support, and rejuvenation could do. So I would highly recommend going to, and I'm going to put up the banner here quick so you can find the link because my links apparently have not been working, unfortunately. You can go to educateandrejuvenate.com/summer 2020, only 120, 2025. I've obviously been talking for too long, to grab your tickets to the conference. And, or if you're on Instagram, you can comment event and we'll send you the link. This is your chance to get time-saving resources, mindset coaching, and also PD and all the subjects too. It's really both. Like you're going to learn about math, science, social studies, social emotional learning, but also so much more of this that's going to take care of you. The whole conference is to educate and rejuvenate. We believe in both. We believe in the and. So we will be taking a week off from the podcast next week, but then the following week, we are going to start a new series. So this week was the final episode of the Ease into Summer podcast series. But don't worry, we're coming back with something big. Our next live podcast will be on June 10th. And it is going to be a second reveal party celebration for what we're doing this summer with Educate and Rejuvenate, the conference, but also the live podcast. We are doing a new series. We are going to start, because this was the Ease into Summer, which is now closing today. We have a week off, and then we are starting I came up with a new name today, actually, and now I just blinked. It is the Summer Sips, because, again, we're leaning into the Starbucks, right? On the first episode of it, on June 10th, we are going to have a prepaid Starbucks gift card for everyone. So I'm about to pick a winner today for a one person to get Starbucks. Next week, we're going to have a prepaid Starbucks gift card that I share at the end of the episode for everybody who was here live. So add it to your calendar. And I'm going to reveal more about the summer podcast sessions. I'm going to share even more about what's happening at the event. And I'm going to share the fun things we are adding to the Platinum Pass as well. We are adding some really fun stuff, basically another full day of fun for people who are on the Platinum Pass. So if you want to be the first to know when those drop and sign up for podcast reminders, oh, darn it. I meant to have that link ready, and I just realized I do not actually. So just make sure you are on our email list. We will be emailing out about it. And now it's time for my random scroll to pick our Starbucks gift card winner. I'm not looking. The winner is Leonard. So Leonard Pasek, is that how you say your last name? Leonard, you are the winner of the $5 Starbucks gift card. So please email us at hello@educateandrejuvenate.com. and we will send that to you. And next time on June 10th, we will have a prepaid Starbucks gift card that those who are here live will get first dibs on it. It'll be when the funds are gone, they're gone. But generally, I try to load it to where it can last for a little bit, So if you go right away, we're doing it in the morning so that you can get your morning coffee or tea, whatever you like. I love their refreshers too. They have so much good stuff there. So again, just grab your favorite drink. To kick off our Summer Sips podcast series, where I will be interviewing tons of our speakers, though the first episode will just be like an announcement of everything. It's going to be so much fun, like a big celebration and Starbucks for so many of you. So I can't wait. Make sure to add June 10th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time to your calendar. And I'm now realizing that some of you aren't out of school yet. So I'm like, dang it, I'm so sorry. But there will be a replay. And again, I will try to make the Starbucks gift card last a little bit. So if you need to catch the replay because you're still in school, we've got you. Way to go, Leonard. Okay, Leonard, did you get that email? So it is hello@educateandrejuvenate.com. We will need that to be able to get that to you. So just send an email there. And I have your name down so we can make sure that we watch for your email. Okay, so let me see. Did I get everything we needed to talk about here on the podcast? Yeah, just watch. I wanted to have the link for all of you, and I guess the links aren't working anyway for you to check out the podcast series. So again, June 10th will be the next one. Just watch whatever platform you're on right now. Updates will be posted about where and when to join live. In fact, I actually already created the live. So on whatever platform you're on, you might be able to find it and RSVP to it right now. Oh, perfect. You gave me your email. Got it. Awesome. We can email you and get that to you. Leonard, got it. Okay. That is everything for today. I hope to see you next time on June 10th for the big celebration where we'll be doing free Starbucks for so many of you educators. So much fun to give back. And also would love to see you at Educate and Rejuvenate Summer 2025. You can go to educateandrejuvenate.com/summer 2025 to snag your ticket and join us at the event for as low as $5. Again, it's going along with our latte theme. It's less than a latte to join us at the event. We don't want cost to be a barrier for anyone to be able to come and join, but that's why we're also doing some free podcast series as well. And then I also mentioned my book a lot. If you were interested in reading it over the summer and getting that free workbook to do even more exercises like we just did today, it's a great read while you're waiting for the event. You can go to educateandrejuvenate.com/book to snag your copy of the book. It's available on Kindle, paperback. Yeah, just Kindle and paperback. I'm like, wait, that's it. That's it right now. I hope to have an audio at some point, but not quite yet. Okay. Bye. Linda says, bye. Enjoy your week off. Recover for your bike experience. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will chat with you all on June 10th, except for club members. I'll see you on Thursday. If you're in the Educate and Rejuvenate Club, check the calendar for our awesome meditation and coaching we'll be doing then. Everybody else, I'll see you next week, and take care. Bye-bye.
If you loved what you heard in this episode, don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching. And hey, if you're ready to take this work even deeper beyond just a podcast episode, you'll love the book that I wrote with teacher goals. It's called Educate and Rejuvenate, a 3-step guide to revitalize your teaching, renew your spirit, and reignite your passion for life. This isn't just a book you read, it's a whole experience. With your copy, you'll also get access to a full PDF workbook and exclusive reader-only course modules in our mobile app, designed to help you not just consume the content, but actually apply it to your life, even if you only have a few minutes at a time. So if you're ready to make Educate and Rejuvenate not just something you listen to, but a lifestyle you live and a mantra you carry with you every day, grab your copy on Amazon and head to educateandrejuvenate.com/book to claim your bonuses.